I don't know that I'm proud of this, but it's a fact. I almost have 20,000 connections on LinkedIn, and some people are amazed by that. To be honest, I'm a little bit not embarrassed, but again, I'm not proud of it. And over the years, I've not interacted with the majority of them. I'm sure, certainly, there have been hundreds, maybe thousands that I've had conversations with, whether on the phone or many in person. But when you're talking about 20,000 people, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people, and I know there are people on there that I've never met before. When I got started on LinkedIn, that was kind of just back in 2007, 2008. That was kind of the game, right? You just connect with people, just connect, connect, connect. Be a lion, LinkedIn open networking. And, that just was a signal that just connect. I'll send me a request and I'll connect back. And there really was not a lot of communication. Like I said, I almost have 20,000 connections on LinkedIn. I think the limit is 30. My goal on LinkedIn is to never hit 20. I have been systematically just going through and uncoupling with people that I've never talked to, have no idea who they are, what it's about, or how we became connected. And then there are certain people who I'll get connected to, and they get real pitchy right out of the gate, and it's like, yeah, I don't need to be connected to this. So I'm being very judicious, if you will, about who I connect with. But there are people who will look at that 20,000 and they'll roll their eyes and sort of tisk at me and say, wow, um, you know, that's stupid. It's a big waste of time to have all these connections. And they're only connected to people that they have met with face to face, people that they really know. And that's their strategy for connecting on LinkedIn. And that's certainly a fair opinion. I can never argue with somebody else's opinion, but I think there's probably there is a middle ground in there somewhere. Do I need to have 20,000? No, but I'm certainly better having 20,000 than having 20 or 200. Where that middle ground is I'm not really sure. And that's something we can certainly talk about. But there's this ongoing debate between quality of relationships and quantity of relationships, or you know quality of relationships and quantity of connections, I guess, is a better way to do it. What I want to quickly do is just share a story, and I've shared this on the podcast before, but this was in the book Atomic Habits. And then also there's another book, I need to look up the name of it, called Art and Fear. It was a story about a ceramic class, and a college level ceramic class. And the professor brought the students in and said, okay, we're going to grade people. We're going to grade people different this year. Um, you people on the left hand of the class, I'm going to grade you on quantity, and you on the right hand of the class, I'm going to grade you on quality. And I might have those backwards, but at any rate, came in and said, half the class, you're the quantity class, the other half of the class, you're the quality class. The professor went on to explain that if you're on the quantity side of things, at the end of the semester, I'm going to weigh the number of pots you've done, the number of things you've produced. And if you have 50 pounds or more, you're going to get an A. And if it's only, 45 to 50, then you get a B. And there was a whole grading scale that the professor had. And he went to the quality side and he said, listen, I'm going to grade you on one pot and one pot only. Bring me your very best pot. And if it's perfect, you'll get an A. And then it would go down from there. However, it was measured. So the class went forward. End of the semester, all the pots came in. Certainly, the quantity side had a buttload of uh, of clay pots. I don't know what a clay pot weighs, but if it's 50 pounds and they're half a pound a piece, you've got 100 clay pots. It's a lot of pottery. And brought a scale in and weighed him. I'm not exactly sure how it was done, but that was happening on the quantity side, just kind of weighing the pots. And then the quality side came in and they brought their pots, and everybody just probably proudly carried their one pot in that they had labored with and thought over throughout the semester, and were hanging their entire grade on that one particular pot. What the professor found was that the people who had the best pots were not on the quality side, but rather on the quantity side. The people who had just gone about and just, you know, bring all your pots in, they ended up having better quality than the people on the quality side, the people who were really focused on bringing forth the very, very best pot that they could make. And what they talk about in the books, Art and Fear and Atomic Habits, is that the reason for this is when these pottery students, this ceramic class, we'll call it, I guess is probably a better term for it. The students who are on the quantity side, I mean, obviously they just got busy. 50 pounds is a lot of clay. The people on the quality side, they got busy thinking and pontificating and designing and trying to figure out what the best pot would look like. Um, and the people on the quantity side, they just started throwing clay, putting it on the wheels. What's I guess the term for it? Throwing clay, putting it on the wheel, and just letting it go. And you know, hey, that's not great, but it's a pot, and it'll go towards my grade. But because they started about doing those things, they got better and better at making pots, and ultimately made better pots than the quality side. And there's certainly a lesson in there with respect to networking. And again, it gets to that there's a middle ground here. It's not totally about quantity, and it's not totally about quality either. So what I always tell people with respect to networking, I have a couple quick stories on that, is that there's always some benefits to the quantity side of things, benefits that we tend to overlook. The first is that you tend to learn from everybody. I have a lot of phone calls, or a lot of Zoom calls, I should say, and often I will ask myself, okay, should I be on this call? And I generally go forward with it because somebody has introduced me, somebody sees something, maybe I can help somebody, whatever it might be. And so I generally go forward with the calls, and a lot of them end up going nowhere. But I find that with everybody I talk to, there's a little bit of information that I can come away with, whatever that might be. Information relative to maybe how I should be doing these lives, or piece of software, or just whatever it might be. And I don't necessarily act on everything, but I can take that little bit of information then, and maybe I'm parlaying it onto somebody I know and it's going to benefit them. Hey, I heard about this app, or I heard you could do this, or I heard you could do that. So with everybody I meet, um, there's a little bit of information that's coming to me, a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of insight, and those all those things tend to add up and make me more successful. Now, obviously, I can't bury my whole day in these calls where I'm picking up little bits of information, and I do try to be careful with overbooking myself on those sorts of things. I say that, and today is going to be a busy day of calls, once a week, there's always one day where it's like, what did I do? And it's I haven't done it. People have just gotten on my calendar, and that's just how it worked out. Um, but I find that there's certainly learning with each of those. The second benefit of quantity versus the quality, the benefit of um, you know not being so particular about who you might talk to, is that you hone your skills when the stakes are lower. Um, and back to the pottery story, the stakes were never, for the quantity side, the stakes were never very high. Just do a pot. And so you could get on there and you could make some mistakes, and it wasn't the end of the world, and you could relax and get better and better at it. And it's sort of the same thing with respect to networking. I was at a chapter of AM Spirit Business Connections recently, and the chapter is looking to grow. And um, I was sitting there listening to the chapter as they're kind of going through who they're trying to get, and they're trying to hone it down to, hey, here's the perfect this person or that person to refer or to invite into the chapter. And they're going round and round and really, accountant, what kind of accountant are we looking for, how big's the firm, and they're really just trying to, and I think there's a lot of value in this, and that they're trying to be very specific as to the type of person they want to have in their group. And those are the types of people they're going to talk to and invite. And one of the members asked me and said, if we do this, if we keep doing this, how much bigger do you think we'll be 3 months from now? And I told him, I said, I think you'll be the exact same size. And they kind of looked at me and they were shocked by that. And I said, I'm not trying to be mean, but I think you're overthinking. I think you're overthinking it. I think you're thinking so much into the type of person you want to have in your group, and you're going to be searching for that person, and inviting nobody else until you find that perfect person. Um, that when you when you finally get to that perfect person, you're going to be all thumbs inviting them. Whereas if you just get out and invite people to your group, or you just get out and get on Zoom calls and meet people, I find I learn things from everybody I talk to, but I also get more comfortable talking. I get more comfortable explaining what I'm about. I get more comfortable asking questions, and the stakes are not very high. And when I get with people where the stakes are high, I'm ready because I've done it. I've done it dozens, hundreds, maybe thousands of times before. And I just, there's value in it. And so, I and I told the pottery story to this group. I said, listen, just invite people. Just invite people. Just get out there. Just network with people. Obviously, guard your time. Don't be silly about it. But don't overjudge people. Judge people on the front end, because you don't know where people, you know, who knows who. And that kind of leads into the third benefit of kind of the quantity approach with respect to networking and building relationships, is that it's never obvious who's the one person that you should talk to. I, you know, I would have no money if I were a betting person and betting on, oh, this person's going to be great or this person's going to be bad, because I'm totally surprised all the time. The people I think who are going to be game changers for me often disappoint me, and not in a bad way. I mean, they're not bad people. It's just it's just for whatever reason it just doesn't work out. And then the people that you might pass on, if you just had to look at them on paper, looked at their LinkedIn profile, really turn out to be great connections. It's kind of like the saying in marketing, and the saying in marketing is that 50% of your ad dollars are wasted, but you don't know what 50%. And it's the same thing with respect to networking. You know, half, whatever percent, maybe it's 90% of the people you talk to really aren't going to turn into great relationships, but you don't know what 90 or 50 or whatever the percentage is. You just have to talk to people. And so when you start to judge people um, as to whether they're going to be a good connection or a bad connection, often you're wrong. And if you're making, if you're going to be wrong 50% of the time, um, you're better just to take more shots, right? I mean, if you're trying to find more success, because there's really, I don't know that there's, I don't know that there's a way, a surefire way, for you to look at somebody's LinkedIn and say, yes, this is going to be a game changer. I don't think there is a way. I haven't found it yet, and I've talked to lots of people. Maybe other people have. But I have been totally and pleasantly surprised by people that um, I might have otherwise passed judgment on. And that they become great relationships, great, maybe not clients per se, but great connectors to people who are clients or prospective clients or podcast guests or whatever it is. So as you continue to network, don't get too fixated on the notion of quantity versus quality. Don't get so fixated on quality. There is a lot of benefit to taking advantage of playing the quantity game and getting out and connecting with lots of people.